d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, queen c2, castle kingside, a3, bishop takes c3, check, queen takes c3, d5, bishop g5, c5, d takes c5, d4, queen f3, knight b d7, e3, h6, bishop takes f6, knight takes f6, castle queenside, e5, knight e2, bishop g4, queen g3, knight e4, queen takes g4, knight takes f2, queen f3, knight takes d1, e takes d4, knight takes b2, king takes b2, rook c8, d5, rook takes c5, knight c3, b5, bishop e2, b takes c4, king a2, f5, rook b1, queen g5, rook d1, e4, queen f2, e3, queen g3, queen takes g3, h takes g3, king f7, rook f1, king e7, rook f3, king d7, bishop d1, rook f7, bishop a4, check, king d8, rook takes e3, rook e7, rook f3, rook e5, d6, h5, d7, g5, rook f1, rook a5, rook h1, rook takes a4, knight takes a4, rook e2, check, king b1, king takes d7, rook takes h5, rook e3, rook takes g5, rook takes a3, knight b2, rook c3, rook takes f5, rook takes g3, rook f2, rook g4, rook c2, c3, knight d1, king e6, knight takes c3, king e5, rook e2, check, king d4, king c2, a5, King D2. Rook G3. Knight D1. Rook D3 check. King C1. Rook G3. King C2. A4. Rook D2 check. King C4. Knight B2 check. King B4. Knight D3 check. King C4. Knight E5 check. King C5. King B2. A3 check. King A2. King B4. Rook C2. Rook E3. Knight C6 check. King B5. Knight D4 check. King B4. Rook E2. Rook G3. Knight C2 check. King C4. Knight takes A3 check. King D3. Rook E2. Rook G4. Knight C2. King E2. Knight D4 check. King E3. Knight F3. Rook E4. King B1. King F4. King C1. King G3. King D1. Rook E8. Knight E1. Rook E3. King D2. Rook A3. King E2.